Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to World of Tanks with Scout. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos. Been busy living life, as it were, but I've missed doing this, so I wanted to get back on and get some videos out to you guys. I've got lots of exciting stuff I want to share with you. You can tell just by my garage. A lot of things have been happening even though I haven't been making videos. We finally finished the first operation, got that Stu 4. I got this thing right here. I can't wait to show you guys the AMX 30 prototype. But today's video is going to be all about this little tank right here, the AMX 1390, because we just don't have enough French tank videos up on the channel yet. What we're going to do, I'm going to give you as always the quick stat rundown on it, and then I'm going to show you some gameplay footage and some suggestions as how you play it. As always, if stats is not your thing, if you're not really interested, just click the annotation top left corner of the screen. You can get straight to the replays. Otherwise, stick with us and I'll tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the AMX 1390. So this is the French tier 8 light tank, and it's probably been around the longest in terms of tier 8 lights. And I think that's really starting to show in this tank. That's kind of the bottom line, because if you take a look at his stats, what you're going to find is that the stats don't really compare all that favorably with the other tier 8 light tanks. It's got 1100 hit points, which is pretty low compared to tanks here. We're specifically looking at the Spa Panzer and the T-54 lightweight. It weighs in at 15.1 tons, 17.84 is the load limit. Very, very light, which means if you come into contact with those other tier 8 light tanks and they ram you, you're going to take a significant amount of damage even from a light tank, let alone if you get hit by anything else. This is a very, very light vehicle. Got kind of a weedy 350 horsepower engine, which is not so bad because it's such a light vehicle with a top speed limit of 64 kilometers per hour. What you're going to find though is that that is significantly lower than the newer tier 8 light tanks, and it's also significantly slower to accelerate. Still very maneuverable, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a slow vehicle, it's just it's not as fast as those other tier 8 lights. The 40 degree per second hull traverse is really bottom of the barrel. It doesn't compare with those other tier 8 lights. It's armor, it's light tank armor, it's not really worth discussing, but do know that it's not the worst. That honor actually belongs to the Spa Panzer. You've got about 20 millimeters more. I think it's turret front armor than the Spa Panzer. We'll come back to the gun. Turret traverse speed of 46 degrees per second is good, but again, compared to the other tier 8 lights, it's kind of just mediocre. They're at least as good as, if not better. 400 meter view range is pretty much what you have to have in a tier 8 light tank in order to scout. So it is competitive, and in fact a little bit better than the T-54 lightweight, which only has 390. And of course it's got a 750 meter signal range. So if all these stats are mediocre, what makes this tank stand out? Well, those of you that have been playing World of Tanks for more than a day know that it is the gun that makes this tank special. And here it is right here, the 90 millimeter F3 auto loading gun. That's right, this is a 90 millimeter auto loader on a tier 8 light tank. For those of you that are unfamiliar with it, carries 6 shells in the magazine, and it can pump one of those shells out every 2.73 seconds until your magazine is empty, at which point you're going to have a problem because it's going to take you 42 seconds to completely load 6 new rounds into the magazine. It has 170 millimeters of penetration and 240 points of average damage, 248 millimeters of penetration with its APCR rounds. Essentially, this is the Pershing's gun. If you're familiar with the Pershing's gun at all, it's the same 90 millimeter that's common across a lot of the kind of tier 8-ish medium light tanks and some tier 7s. 0.38 accuracy, it's pretty crap, but to be honest with you, a lot of the tier 8 light tanks have pretty crap accuracy. They're not much better, if at all. 0.36 I think is the best you get. What's really going to hurt you though is the aim time on this gun. The 3-second aim time feels like an eternity. What's more, with a .38 accuracy and as fast as this tank moves at 64 kilometers an hour, you really cannot fire on the move with this gun. This thing, it's not really a turn and burn tank like some of the other lights before it. It just doesn't have the capability to do that because of the inaccuracy of the gun. I'm thinking here like Bulldog and T-54 lightweight have the ability to do that. Not so much the AMX 1390. With this gun right here, you're really going to want to stop and take your shots unless you're practically at point blank range. Another limitation of this gun. But what makes it special is if you do the math, 6 shells, 240 average damage per shell. That means on average in 13 to 14 seconds, you can put 1,440 points of damage into a tank, and that is significant. And even though the penetration, even with your standard AP rounds, is mediocre at best, it is good enough to penetrate the back of even most tier 10 tanks. The ability to put out that much damage in a short amount of time makes you a very, very dangerous tank, especially late in the game when opposing vehicles are already wounded, they're already low on hit points, and that's where this tank really starts to shine, is later in the game. So I really think that is the key to playing the 1390. You have to spot, you have to do all the scouting things for your team, but you have to conserve your hit points and keep yourself alive. Because just like the back chat that comes later and some of the other auto-loading vehicles, the longer you survive, the longer you can drag the battle out, the more dangerous you become, to the point where at the end of the game, you're just flying around picking off wounded tier 8, 9, and sometimes even 10 tanks because you can dump 3 or 4 rounds into them before they even realize that you're behind them. And that's kind of what makes this tank unique for me, is that it's not purely a scout tank. It really does have an attack kind of role, especially later in the game. So you play it a little bit differently. And as you can see, my loadout for this tank reflects that. I don't have binos. Some people would say that's a mistake, but I find myself moving a lot in this tank, and especially late in the game, I'm flying around trying to get behind somebody. And so I want to have the best view range that I can while I'm moving, which is why I choose coated optics instead of binoculars. I do keep my camo net because I constantly park in bushes and try to spot for my team. And here I have a enhanced gun laying drive. Again, trying to compensate for that awful 3.8 accuracy and 3-second aim time. And that's how I've got my tank equipped. Some of the other little quirks about the 1390, its elevation and depression is crap. It's the same story from the 12T, the 1375. You can see if you try to elevate, the back of the turret here is going to come down and smack on your back deck. If you try to depress, the gun tube is going to hit the front of the tank right here. You can improve that a little bit by traversing the gun over the side and get a little more elevation and depression out of it, but not much. Something you need to keep in mind. Your soft stats in terms of terrain resistance are also mediocre at best. Soft terrain stats is actually among the worst among the tier lights. So you want to avoid water, soft terrain, because it's going to really slow this tank down inordinately. And another thing to be aware of is, especially early in the game, something I've learned playing this tank in the AMX 30 prototype, a lot of people will load an HE round because they expect that the first thing that they're going to encounter is a light tank. So be very, very careful about being spotted, because it has happened to me twice. I've played a lot of games in this tank and it's only happened twice, but it's extremely frustrating when you spot the enemy E50. He spots you, slings an HE round at you, and doesn't destroy your tank, but kills all 3 of your crew. This tank only has 3 crew members, and 1 HE round can kill all 3 of your crew without killing your tank, and then you're out of the game, even though you only took, say, 300 points of damage out of your 1,100 hit points. That can happen. But other than that, that's about it, about the 1390. It scouts fairly well, but it also makes a very dangerous late game opponent. So let's take a look at some replay footage and see if I can show you guys some examples of what I'm talking about. Alright, so here we are on Fiery Salient, and, well, it's a tier 10 match, but just barely. There's only 1 tier 10 per side, and then some tier 9s, and primarily tier 8s, which is about the best that you can hope for in the 1390. Sometimes you'll get into a tier 9 game. Every once in a blue moon you'll get to play in a tier 8 game, but this is more like what you're going to see. And in this video, what I want to show you is passive scouting in the 1390. You can do it even when you're not set up for it. If you're set up more aggressively like I am, it's still important that you do it. You just got to find some key spots to do it from. And where I'm going to right now is a bush location, on the very far western side of the map. It's extremely tricky to get into because you're frequently going to get spotted by enemy light tanks pushing up this ridge here from the south. But if you can get into this location, it's extremely useful if you have the patience to do it. Now you see I've seen that Walker Bulldog there, and I also saw the LTTB racing up into my bush. So rather than jamming both of us up and not being able to fit there, I've stopped short here and I'm just looking at this Bulldog. Unlikely that anybody down south can see me from here, so I'm taking a few pot shots at the Bulldog. And what I'm trying to do is just look for an opening to continue my run into that bush where the LTTB is roughly sitting right now. And I see he's falling back from it already. I don't know if he was spotted or if he's just bored of sitting there. But that's where I want to be, is those bushes off to the right, kind of where he came from. Now I'm just got to look for an opening when this Walker Bulldog is either down or occupied over there on that side of the map, and therefore unlikely to spot me when I make my break for these bushes. For now, we're just going to sit here and spot, be kind of patient, see how the game develops, see if oh, that was a good opportunity there, but my gun was in the wrong place. Note here though, see how the .38 accuracy kind of hurts you. It's hard to snipe with this gun, even against a stationary target, let alone a guy moving as fast as the Bulldog. That was just a terrible shot. That wasn't the gun. And you can imagine what it would be like if you were trying to shoot somebody while they're moving at all, be it fast or slow, and you're tearing across the field at 60 kilometers an hour. Shooting on the move with this gun, just not a good idea. And here you see the first example of why that is. And I've wasted now 5 AP rounds. Another thing to remember, if you've never been in the autoloader before, if you're unfamiliar with it, you cannot combine ammunition types in the same magazine. So that's why your ammunition down at the bottom, you notice, is grouped in allocations of 6, because it's going to try to load an entire 6 rounds of whatever you selected. And if you have 2 AP rounds and 6 APCR, then you have to make the choice when you reload. It's going to take you 40 seconds no matter what. Are you going to load the 2 AP rounds, or are you going to load the 6 APCR rounds? Something to keep in mind if you're not shooting up full magazines each time. And these are the bushes that I was telling you about. We finally made it over. You can see we waited until there was nobody spotting us. And I'm trying to adjust the tank to get more elevation and depression out there towards the field, and then I spot this 1390, so I immediately get still. And you see how these bushes curve. They come straight out from the red line and then curve kind of to my left. And that's why you can tuck tight in here and orient your tank properly. And you can be covered by bushes both from enemies coming from the south to my right as we're looking right now, and those guys out in the field kind of out in front of me. It's a great little spot. Just be aware that people are catching on to this spot. They will sometimes blind fire this bush, and I've even seen artillery send a shot over here in the middle of the game if he feels like somebody's spotting from up here. So now we're just being patient. You can see here what I'm talking about, the elevation and depression issues. Again, if we take to look at the external camera, see there it is, the back of the turret. It can't go down anymore to allow me to elevate because it would hit the tank. And now I don't want to move because I was getting kind of nervy about people coming down here. And there is the KV-4, so we're going to request fire at him. Just going to hold my nerve, sit here and be patient. My camo net's up. I've got a camo crew. It's unlikely anybody's going to spot me unless they get ridiculously close to me or they have very, very good view range, which we all know Soviet heavy tanks do not. So we just sit here, spot the KV-4, and there we go. I'm still cognizant of the fact that there was that 1390 spotted. You can see where he was there in H1. So I don't really want to move. It's kind of like a Mexican standoff. I'd like to get a little further south to try and spot, but there's not much cover beyond this point. And with a 1390 lurking over there somewhere, and these light tanks still up on the ridge, the 1390 and the M41 on the opposing team, I would definitely get spotted as soon as I left these bushes. So again, just going to play it patient. Really like to blast out that way, but even if you can fiddle your tank into a way to doing it, you have to be very careful, because if you shoot from here if there's an enemy scout south of you, for example at 1390 and H1, you will get spotted. So lately what I've taken to doing, you see now I'm actually pointing my tank in a bad direction because I'm trying to get the elevation of impression to get more shots out into the field. What I've taken to doing now is facing the opposite way, facing the front of the tank downhill. Even though I'm almost never going to get any shots because of how that affects my elevation and impression, what it does allow me to do is go forward and go downhill instantly as soon as I get spotted, and get the hell out of this spot as quickly as you can. Because if you do get spotted in this bush location, everyone and their dog can shoot you. The guys out in the field and everybody down south. And here I've been caught looking. I was trying to get a shot on the 1390. I'm sorry, the 5100 and the 1390 snuck up on me. Fortunately, I was able to get one shot into him, and it doesn't look like anybody else is paying attention. There's a 1375. We're able to get the kill on the 1390. You see the accuracy bit us there a little bit. We got a track instead of a damage shot on the, I think it was the second shot. Of course, I was auto aiming because I was concerned more about moving than shooting, but there again, you see that .38 accuracy that we talked about earlier. And it's kind of convenient that he died there because now that gives me a little bit of cover when I get back up into this bush. Not much, but a little bit. And now what I'd like to do is spot that 1375. Normally I would move up at this point, kind of aggressive and risky, but with that 1375 I know he's there, and I was afraid he's going to spot me, and now I am really glad that I didn't move because look who I have just spotted, and this is all my spotting damage. Any damage this Jagdpanzer U100 takes, we are going to get credit for. So we're just going to sit here and bang the hell out of our T button and pray that someone will kill him before he parks right next to me. Thank you. There's a big shot from one of our two artilleries. There's the 1375, spotted him as well. And again, now's the tricky part. Like, do you run? Do you shoot? What do you do? And if you have a good camo crew and your camo net up, just hold your nerve and be still. I'm really surprised this Jagdpanzer U100 hasn't spotted me yet, but that just goes to show you how difficult you are to spot. If you have a camo crew and a camo net, it really takes another scout tank getting very close to you. You see, we saw how close that 1390 got before he spotted us. And there's the Jagdpanzer U100, completely destroyed, all down to our spotting. And now I know that I can move. There's probably no one back here except the 1375, and he's already dead. I didn't even see him get killed, wasn't paying attention. So now what I want to do is race down to the southern corner down there by the intersection and start spotting the IS-3 and the Ferdinand just to the east of the enemy flag. And what you're going to see now is a transition more from a passive scouting role at this late game, like we talked about in the garage, late point in the game. You can start being more aggressive and taking a more active role now that you've done all your spotting. Like this IS-3, I can penetrate him frontally with standard AP. I just need a good shot like that. I need him to stop moving, and this shot would probably penetrate, but again, I don't want to take it because there's a Ferdinand up on the ridge behind them, and I don't know if that Ferdinand is still there or not. So we just take the spotting damage, be patient, and now we can move up to the next bush and spot the Ferdy. And you can see the Ferdy can't even see me. Again, poor view range, excellent camo value relatively. We can spot the Ferdinand without being spotted. And now again, we just lay up in the bushes, play patient, look for a good shot. What I really want is to kill the artillery. I'm going to move over to the right here and see if I can spot through this, and there he is. Now, once I kill this artillery, I can take shots and I don't have to worry about the artillery blasting me in the face. And that's the auto loader we talked about, the ability to deal a lot of damage very quickly before he could even react to the first shot hitting him and the second one's on the way. And now I can start taking shots, and I know that if they don't have line of sight, I'm not in any danger. Didn't really want to take a shot there at that Lorraine because it wasn't a great shot with this gun and only his turret sticking up, unlikely to hit. Fortunate that I didn't, because there is the 5100. He still hasn't spotted me. I don't think he spotted me until I came forward into the second row of bushes. There's a 3-second delay from when you're spotted till you get the light bulb, so he may have spotted me as soon as I fired, but I don't know. Again, camouflage and camo net, very important to this tank. And now, as you can see, just like that, we're actually up to 3 kills. Even though it seems like we haven't done a lot, we have done a lot for our team. A lot of spotting damage, as you're going to see at the end of this. And we took out the artillery, which was a huge benefit to our team. And dropping that 5100 was very important. Now we're just going to be patient, give our team a chance to move up. No sense in taking risks. Fully loaded now, come up. And again, here's shots into the back of the tier 8, back inside of the tier 8 tank. Easy penetration. Not going to go for the reload, not with 5 rounds in the magazine. I don't start thinking about going for reloads unless I'm down to 3 or fewer. When I'm at 3, I'm looking to reload when I get a chance. If I'm under any pressure, I won't, but if I have the chance, I'll definitely reload. 4 and 5 is when I start thinking about keeping it and just going with what I got. It depends really as much on what phase of the game it is and what opponents are left as anything else. And you see the Lorraine is all the way up north. He's going to try to cap. And I want to say that here I decide that discretion is the better part of valor. Yet you see me right there in chat saying nope, I'm not going to go pick a fight with a Lorraine who's at least as good as I am and already on a top gun. I'll just sit here with the Borsig double cap and make sure that we get the win. And that's how this game is going to finish out. So all in all, I think a very good example of how you can passive scout with the 1390 and bound and not just camp one bush. You saw how I moved south with the battle and kept spotting for my team, and a little bit more active role in the end. Let's take a look at the results screen. So here you see the results of our battle on Fiery Salient. Got a first class mastery badge, the spotter ribbon, fire for effect, and the patrol duty medal. And you can see that we did a ton of spotting damage the entirety of the Jagdpanzer E100. And by the time it was all said and done, in point of fact, 6,298 points of spotting damage, along with 1,413 points of our own damage, which in fact is good enough to complete Light Tank Mission 10, the Ghost. Definitely, I think, played the role of the Ghost in that match. Let's take a look at the team scores. So you see here we finished on top by a large margin in terms of experience. In fact, 1,290 points of base experience is one of my better games. You really do get amply rewarded for playing a scout tank well in World of Tanks. 1,413 points of damage is not a lot, but if you look at the team, it's really pretty good all in all, considering this is a tier 8 light tank, and 3 kills ties me for first in terms of amount of kills on the team. So all in all, really a productive game, even if it didn't seem all that exciting. And I really think that playing that the way that I did is what enabled that team to win. It just shows how important scouting is in World of Tanks. Going to the detailed report, you see that we fired 13 shots, including almost an entire magazine of Bulldog at the beginning of the game like an idiot. Got 8 hits. Of our 8 hits, 7 penetrated, giving us our 1,400 points of damage, 450 of which was more than 300 meters. And of course, we got penetrated every time we got shot, but that's to be expected. Spotted 4 enemy vehicles, but they were big ones. Damaged 4, destroyed 3. There's our 6,298 points of spotting damage. Even got credit for 27 base defense points. All told, by the time it was doubled, 2,580 total experience. So a big jump, very productive game. And after repaired and rearm, able to bring home 32,133 credits. So that was a very, very productive game in the 1390, even if I understand it was a little bit boring maybe for some of you guys to watch. Let's take a look at another game. I want to show you one more. It features the 1390 and a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more active role. Alright, so here we are on AMX. A little bit more standard matchmaking. This is what you will more commonly see in your 1390, although not usually this many light tanks. Look at all the light tanks down at the bottom on the side. There's not usually that. But more standard. Not really a fan of this. I feel like the teams are very lopsided in this matchup. So what I really want to do is try to get some spots off early and then conserve my health and go somewhere where I can take advantage of the damage potential of the AMX 1390. Here you see the downside to my setup on the 1390. As you can tell by the mini-map, I don't quite have the view range rather, to spot all the way back there to the Alpha and the backside of the Bravo rows. So something to consider when you're setting up your 1390, whether or not you want to make that trade-off and carry coated optics instead of a binos. But scary things there at Delta 4. Not liking the way that looks, so I'm going to scoot out over this way. Again, trying to spot down there in the back, see if I see anybody moving around. Again, the decision to mount coated optics instead of binos is kind of biting me in the butt, and I don't want to get that far down that bowling alley and then get spotted by something big and scary. So instead, we're going to give up, come out here into the field. Now, a lot of people have asked, say, what do you mean by playing passively and just kind of waiting into the late game? Well, I don't mean camp in the corner. I mean, look, you see me moving forward. Right now I'm the furthest person forward on the eastern flank, and I'm spotting, but I'm not going to take any shots. I'm not going to do anything that's going to get me killed. As soon as I get spotted, I back off. I've stayed next to this ridge where I can back off, and the ground slopes downward so I can hide. And I just want to play cool, play it passive, use my team, and look for an opening. Now, like, look here. This is a perfect situation of what I'm talking about. There are a couple of moves you could make here. You could jump on the 1390, right? He doesn't spot me. I could get the advantage on him when I come around the corner of that building and get the first shot off. But I'm trading. Once I get that first shot off, it's going to be a 1-for-1 until I kill him or he kills me. And there's just no point in me doing that, I don't feel. Not at this stage in the game. When it's 2-1, we're up. There's no reason for me to push. I don't need to trade my health. The T-34, when I moved on him, I thought I could get shots maybe under the railroad tracks, and he was within my 1440 total damage potential, so I was looking at unloading on him. But you notice I didn't go all the way down and around. Like, I had never any intention of pulling in front of him. And this is what I mean by just play it safe, be cool, use your team, and then good things happen. Like this, free shots on an Panther. Thank you very much. I will take that kill. And you see here what I'm talking about. There's nothing big in front of me that's been spotted. Most of the big tanks are spotted in the city. 1390 down there. No reason for me to reload. I'm going to sit with 4 rounds in the magazine and be cool with it. Not going to go for the reload right now. What I am going to do is just continue to be cool. Try to spot this 1390, see if I can kill him, and use the other light tanks for a little while. Especially when you're the better player on your team. Quickie Baby touched on this a couple videos ago, and I can't agree with him more. If you're one of the better players on your team, it's kind of up to you to have that big impact on the game. So throwing your tank away early is just dooming your team. And yeah, I tried to shoot the arty through the building. Look, I'm not perfect either. I'm by no means a great player. One of my biggest faults, I will do anything to kill artillery. I despise them. Here, making a big mistake. I should never have come out on this 1390. No way I'm going to kill him. Not when he's so close to cover, unless I track him the first shot and damage him and follow up the other two. Very lucky I didn't take damage there. I only got tracked. And coming outside on like that, when your turret's mounted more to the rear, you expose more of your vehicle before you can fire. That was just a bad engagement. And we all know I'm a shitty driver. Yeah. With the railroad car. What I was trying to do is get south and support our T-30 fighting off those 2 light tanks, but it doesn't look like he's going to need my help. So I give it up and just go for the reload, and I'm going to park somewhere safe. Maybe try to spot this artillery back here using this bush. Wait for my gun to reload. No, there's the arty. He's moved. And now you see me taking a more aggressive. I'm going down here to ambush this Leo. A more aggressive stance because, again, he's within my 1440 damage. He does not have any armor. This is what I mean. Late in the game, you can have a big impact. It doesn't matter where I hit this Leo. It's going to penetrate. He doesn't have any armor to speak of. And, of course, as I say that, I bounce one on a wonky angle at the front. But between everybody shooting at him here, I still have the capacity to finish him off. Put one shot in, and now I know I'm going to take a hit probably as I chase him, but even if I do, I've traded 402 hit points for almost the entirety of a tier 10 medium tank. I'd say that's a pretty good trade. And then you go for the reload. This is what I mean by being more aggressive. This is what I mean when I say the 1390 is much more dangerous late in the game, when it can finish tanks off and when it can pounce on people that aren't expecting it. Especially if those people happen to be a leopard with no armor. Here, I was thinking that the Batchat was going to race south, the Batchat artillery, I mean, was going to race south and try to cap. Excuse me. So, I'm waiting on the gun to reload, and now I'm thinking that the gun's going to be reloaded by the time I get south and spot him, so that's why I'm moving out at full speed now. It's something I was still working with at this point in my AMX 1390 play. You don't want to wait for your gun to completely reload all the time. If you know you got to drive a distance to get to your engagement, start moving before your gun gets reloaded so you don't waste any time. And that's why you get there and the guy may not even be there. You see the Batchat artillery turn around, went all the way up and finish off our 1390. So now it's me and our artillery versus a T-110E4 of all things and the Batchat arty. And you see here my team has nothing complimentary to say about me. These guys are blind. They don't know how to read a map. It's going the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. I think they're also upset. I think our artillery planted around into that 1390 before the enemy artillery killed him. So they're very displeased with that. And hello, Mr. Batchat. And here again, let's check the T-110E4. Yep. 850 hit points, I can kill him with 4 rounds. So there's no sense going for the reload and exposing myself to 42 seconds of helplessness. Now it's just a matter of what I really want to do is just spot him and let the arty finish him. So I'm backing up because, yep, he's expecting me to be there. He stops, I pull in, and of course artillery misses. So now it's just me and this T-110E4, and what I'm going to do is just ring around the rosy with him and look for an opportunity to pounce. Now I'm going to pause it here. This is why I go to such painstaking detail in tank reviews, and I tell you guys pay attention. Like, there are things you need to know about every tank. A T-110E4 cannot traverse this turret over the back. He's got straight out to either side, 90 degrees, and that's it. And I knew that in this engagement, and that's what I was looking for, is can I get around his back without him getting that gun at me. And that's why you guys need to learn tanks, because watch what happens to this T-110E4. If there's the opening, I know he can't get me. Back up. Juke a shot. That was really stupid. There was no reason for me to do that. I could have kept going around, but I didn't think this guy was going to hit me. He's not very well rated. And now it's just circle straight and auto straight on the side, finish him off for the kill and the win. So, pretty exciting game there at the end. I know it started off slow, but look at how it finished. We ended up getting 2 tier 10 kills, the Batchat kill, and that's what I'm talking about when I say the 1390 is much more dangerous later in the game. If you can just conserve your hit points, play cautiously, intelligently, don't do nothing. By all means, get out there and try to spot, but don't take any risks, because if you can survive to the end of the game, even though you're a tier 8 light tank in a tier 10 match, you can win the game, just like we did right here. So let's take a look at the results screens. So here's the results from the battle on Inks. Good enough for a 2nd class mastery badge. Got the fighter, 2 kills off of the top gun, unfortunately, and fire for effect. Moving on to the team score, you can see that we were able to inflict 2,580 points of damage, which I'm pretty sure, yep, is 2nd total on the team in a tier 10 game. So again, it pays off to sometimes be patient and let the game develop and then jump on people at the end of the game. Even though your numbers look slow at first, it will pay dividends in the end. Got 4 kills, 2 kills off of the Top Gun, and 1,109 base experience. So again, amply rewarded for playing well and making the best use of a light tank. Light tanks are really easy to get good experience in my opinion. Going to the detailed report, a little better gunnery performance here. 15 shots fired, 13 hits, 12 penetrations, giving us our 2,580 points of damage. 2 hits received, 1 penetration, 1 non-penetration, surprisingly. Only spotted 1 enemy vehicle. Not a lot of spotting in that game, but 4 damage, destroyed everybody that we damaged. Only 126 points, unfortunately, of assistance damage. But after repair and rearm, still able to bring in 17,248 credits. And after our double for the day, 2,218 experience. So there you go. That's my review of the 1390. Again, passable scout, not the greatest in terms of passive scouting capabilities, just because its speed limits it a little bit. But it is passable, it will work, and you can do it as you saw here. More importantly, very, very dangerous in the late game because of that magazine-fed weapon system. Outstanding kind of assassination capability, especially late game. You just have to play conservatively, spot as best you can without taking any risks, and then be there with as many hit points as you can at the end of the game to take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. It's good to be back. I'm looking forward to giving you guys some more videos. Next up, you can be looking for probably the AMX 30 review. T62 will be coming soon. I finally unlocked that thing. We'll take a look at some of the Berlin tanks. I got some of those. We'll discuss those a little bit more, and a whole lot more. So it's good to be back. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.